meals, are you a planner or are you more spur of the moment? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. If you are a planner, what are some benefits of planning meals and snacks ahead of time? If you are more spur of the moment, what are some reasons that it is difficult to plan your meals and snacks? Thanks for joining us today, and we look forward to hearing from you soon.
Hi everyone, I hope you're all staying safe. Thanks to everyone who participated in the last part of our lesson about meal planning, and today we're going to continue talking about meal planning. So we're going to be talking about those that are planners and those that are more spur of the moment. Which one do you side with? Are you a planner who plans most of meals in the week, so you know what you're having in a few days for breakfast, lunch, or dinner? Or are you more of spur of the moment, like, I'll get to it when I get to it. I don't really know what I'm having for dinner tonight, but I'll figure it out when the time comes. So we're going to talk more about, for those of you who are spur of the moment, what we can do to eventually become planners. So try planning one night a week dinner. So try planning dinners for the whole week and see how that works. So we will eventually work up to lunch and then maybe even breakfast and snacks as well. So see how that works for you, and if you don't like that system, then just try planning just snacks, something much smaller, but you can kind of figure out what you're going to have and not relying on just dinners all week. So some of the benefits that I see for meal planning are reducing food waste a lot. So I only buy things that I need. I don't buy extra things, and I don't buy things that I'm not going to use or that's not in my plan for that week because I don't want it going bad. Also, I know what's in my fridge, so I don't push food, maybe leftovers or anything to the back of the fridge because they could go bad, and then that's ultimately food waste that I'm throwing out. That's money that I'm throwing out. So I make sure that I use everything up in a timely manner, and I only buy the amount of things that I have. Say I have a lot of potatoes left, so I will have potatoes for dinner that week, or maybe I'll make like a stew or something with potatoes. So I try using up food before they go bad. I've also found that it's very, very difficult to try and plan a meal when you are hungry. So waiting until the last minute to figure out what's for dinner, you could be very hungry and not really thinking clearly, and then ultimately just going out for a meal or for dinner or whatever. And that can be way more expensive instead of just planning it ahead of time. It also can be less nutritious. We want to make sure that we're getting nutritious foods in our body, aiming towards the My Plate, because that will keep us full and satisfied. So those of you that are planners or that like to plan things, what do you do in the kitchen for a time saver? So like, do you cut up all your fruits and veggies one day a week and then have them throughout the week? What are some kitchen hacks that you do? And then also, if anybody that is listening has a favorite family recipe and they want to drop it in the comments below, feel free, and stay tuned for the next part of our lesson. Bye.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to the CEO Nutrition Channel. My name is Amanda. I'm a nutrition educator with the Commission on Economic Opportunity, and today we'll be talking a bit more about meal planning. So if you haven't seen the other Amanda's introduction video to meal planning, then you can check that out on our Facebook page or our YouTube channel. Our activity today is going to be using My Plate and some groceries that I've collected to plan some meals for a day. So we'll go through the groceries that I have by each food category on the My Plate and then come back together and see what meals we can make out of it. Let's get started. With our fruits group, we have some dried cranberries, some tomato sauce, and some canned sliced peaches. Now, fresh, frozen, canned, and dried fruits are all great options to add into our My Plate. If we're choosing canned fruits, we want to try and go for the 100% juice option or the no sugar added whenever possible. In our vegetable group, we have some butternut squash, some celery, some canned peas and mushrooms, as well as some frozen spinach. And just like fruits, fresh, frozen, and canned vegetables are also all great options to add into our My Plate. Similar to fruits, if we're choosing canned vegetables, we want to go for the reduced sodium or no salt added versions whenever possible. And if those options aren't available or you have some regular cans laying around, you can also empty them out into a colander and rinse and drain those. That will help to get rid of some of the excess sodium. In our grains group, we have some egg noodles, some old-fashioned oats, some brown rice, and some whole wheat crackers. Now the main thing with grains is trying to make half of our grains whole grains for the day. Whole grains are things like oats, brown rice, whole wheat pasta, and whole grain crackers. Usually, to make sure we're getting our whole grains, the first ingredient, if you can see here, will say whole, like these whole grain rolled oats. You can look for that on the ingredients list, or you can look for a symbol like this, the whole grain seal, and that will tell you that the food contains whole grain and how much. For our protein group, we have some canned chicken and canned tuna. We want to try and get these canned in water so we don't add in excess oil. We have some peanut butter. We also have some lentils and some beans. So when choosing canned beans, much like canned vegetables, we want to try and go for the reduced sodium options whenever possible. And rinsing and draining the regular versions, just like vegetables, will help get rid of some of that excess sodium. With protein, we want to try and go lean with protein. Tuna, fish, poultry, beans, they're all great examples of lean protein sources. And lean protein just means having protein sources that are lower in fat. In our dairy group, we have some milk, some yogurt, and some mozzarella cheese. Now when we're looking for milk, we want to try to aim for 1% or skim milk. And when looking for other dairy products such as cheese and yogurt, we'd want to go for the low-fat or non-fat options whenever possible. These options have just as much calcium and other nutrients, but with less fat and calories. Now that we have all of our ingredients, let's put some meals together. So for breakfast, maybe I'll have some oatmeal for our grains, made with milk for our dairy, and add in some dried cranberries for our fruit. Now this meal completes 3 of the 5 food categories, so in order to fill in our vegetables and protein, we could have a side of celery with some peanut butter, and we don't have to eat this with our breakfast, but we can have it even as a snack before lunch. We'll also be coming out with an awesome and easy overnight oats recipe, so stay tuned for that. For lunch, maybe I'll make some lentil soup using lentils as our protein. We can add in some butternut squash as our vegetable, or any other kind of vegetable that you like, maybe some chopped spinach or celery, onions, and carrots to add some great flavor. And we can either add in some brown rice to our soup as well, or we could have some whole wheat crackers with it. Now, in order to make soup, we're gonna need some broth. So we can either choose canned or boxed broth. We can make our own broth, or we can choose to use some bouillon cubes. And when we're looking for bouillon cubes or the broth in the can or the carton, we wanna try and aim for that reduced sodium or no salt added if we can find it. But maybe I don't feel like making a soup for lunch, and instead I wanna opt for a canned soup. Just like with canned vegetables and the broth that I was just talking about, we want to try to aim for that reduced sodium canned soup whenever possible. So we have our protein, we have our vegetables, and we have whatever grain we choose with our soup. We just need to fill in our dairy and our fruits for lunch. So maybe as a side to our soup, I'll have some yogurt for our dairy and mix in some canned peaches. You can mix in some of the juice from these cans if you have the 100% juice versions into our plain yogurt to give it some extra sweetness. For dinner, maybe we'll have a mix and match skillet meal, and we'll be sharing this recipe as well. So to start our meal, I'm going to use some canned chicken for our protein, some pasta for our grains. Maybe we'll add in some cheese for our dairy, and we can use some canned peas and even maybe some canned mushrooms in there to add our vegetables in. And then finally, we'll have our tomato sauce as our fruit. So this, as a meal together, would be all 5 My Plate food groups. And just like that, we have our meals planned for the day using my plate and our ingredients. We'd love to hear your ideas for other meals using these ingredients, so please leave those in the comments below. Thank you all so much for watching, and see you next time.
Lexi, and I'm a registered dietitian on the nutrition education team at the Commission on Economic Opportunity. Today, I'm bringing you a healthy, quick and easy recipe of overnight oatmeal. So, before we get started, I want to let you know this recipe does contain dairy products, including milk. So, if you have an allergy to any of these items, please avoid this recipe. Before we hop in, it's really important to make sure we're washing our hands before any food preparation. I just washed my hands for 20 seconds before we got started. A good tip to know how long 20 seconds is, sing the song Happy Birthday to Yourself twice. Alright, let's hop in and get started. So the first ingredient in this recipe is 1 cup of oats. So this is just old-fashioned unrolled oats. So this is just 1 cup. It's a quick, inexpensive pantry item to keep on hand. Alright, so the next ingredient is going to be non-fat yogurt. So this is going to be a really great way to get some more moisture into the recipe as well. So we have 1 cup of the yogurt. And up next we have half a cup of milk, and that's going to also help add moisture to the oats and soften them up. So we are going to mix that together. So the oats are going to be a great way to help stay full if you have this for breakfast as you're waiting to get to lunch. So oats have a lot of fiber in them and have a lot of great health benefits. So this is a great and inexpensive way to add some fiber into your diet. Alright, so right now our oat mixture looks like this. So it's just the non-fat yogurt, milk, and oats. So super easy so far. Alright, up next we have an option to add the fruit now, or we can wait to add fruit in the morning if we're going to have that for breakfast. So personally, I really prefer to add it in now because it adds more flavor and I think it makes it a little bit sweeter too. So we can add half a cup of berries. Personally, what I had available was frozen blueberries, but again, you can use canned, frozen, dried, or even fresh. A great option if you're looking for an inexpensive way to add berries into the recipe, take a look to see if maybe a frozen option is maybe more inexpensive if it's out of season. Chances are, if the product's out of season, maybe a canned or frozen option might save you some money. Alright, so up next we're gonna cut up half a cup of an apple. So that's about 1/3 of a medium-sized apple, but the apples that I have are pretty small. So again, we want to make sure we're going to wash our apple before we start cutting it. So you can cut this any way you'd like, if you like bigger pieces or if you like smaller pieces. It's all personal preference. And again, if you don't have apples on hand, that's perfectly fine. What you can do is just swap it out for any other fruit. So a great tip with these apples is to store them in the refrigerator. So they actually stay a little bit longer in the refrigerator than if you were to store them maybe on the counter. Alright, so we have half a cup of our apples that we're going to add to our mixture. And again, you don't have to add the apples now, but I think it lets the flavors mix together a little bit more and it tastes great. Look how delicious and beautiful our mixture has become. So that's it. It's completely done. So now what you can do, you have a couple options. So you can either cover this and stick it in your fridge, or what I like to do is have breakfast ready so you don't even have to think about it in the morning. So a serving size is about 1 cup. So I have a very small mason jar, but again, if you don't have mason jars at home, that's completely fine. Any container with a lid will work. So I happen to have a really small mason jar, so you just fill it up, put the lid on, stick it in the fridge, let it sit about 6 to 12 hours, and you have breakfast ready to go. See, wasn't that easy? Leave a comment down below if you have these items on hand and want to make this recipe, and also let us know too if there's a substitution that you would make. Maybe you or your family don't like blueberries, but you have other berries on hand that you do like. So let us know down below. Thank you so much for joining me today, and have a great day. Thanks!